In this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the really common training mistakes. Some of these I made as a pro mountain bike racer. Hopefully you can avoid them and make your riding better. A classic training mistake is just to work on your strengths. So for example, you might be really good at endurance focus skills like spinning for hours on end. But it's no good just to focus on your strengths. You'll never get to grips with the other techniques. For example, cross-country racetracks now are so technical that even if you're super fit, you still need the skills to be able to ride those sections and not use too much energy whilst you're doing it. The same goes for technical climbs. Your slow speed skills are going to come into play far more here. You also need some upper body strength to muscle the bike around. Even with those technical sections, you need the skills like bunny hops, manuals, and that does take up quite a lot of energy. Try and highlight your weaknesses and slowly try and eat away at them, setting challenges to improve those skills to become a more rounded rider. Try and add some variety to your riding. I made the mistake when I was a young racer of actually just working on my skills and riding my bike a lot and not actually doing any proper focus training. The best way I found to try and do that as a professional was to try and keep it interesting and sustain my motivation for the long run, and that was all about having a good amount of variety in the type of training and riding I did. It's a really good idea to try and mix up the different types of training, so some short, sharp, really intense training sessions or rides, some longer, low intensity rides. It's definitely a mistake I made when I was racing enduro. I was quite good at motivating myself to do turbo training sessions, doing intervals, so I got really good power to weight ratio, but my endurance wasn't very good. So I changed it up, started adding some more really long, really mellow rides on a cross-country bike and a road bike, and it really did build my overall strength and fitness really well. It's really helpful to keep track of your training so that you know where your base is before you start, but also where you want to get to. So you can find loads of information online about training, maybe use a personal trainer or even use a device to do some tests to work out your base fitness. Now it's a good thing to work out your resting and max heart rates and therefore your training zones, or even these devices will give you a good idea of where your VO2 max is. Now it's definitely not going to be as accurate as doing a proper test for the trainer and all the equipment, but it's still going to give you a good idea. You can try and keep a diary, either physical or online. I like to keep track of my exercise using mainly my Garmin Phoenix watch, so I wear this all the time. So I'll even take into account a particularly strenuous commute or an indoor rowing session, and I use a device on my bike to track my road rides and my mountain bike rides, just to keep an eye on what I'm doing and therefore how my fitness is improving. You can expand this to making proper training plans on software like Training Peaks online. Download that to your device and literally sit there and follow exactly what it's telling you to do. And it's nice to look back in a week or a month's time and see what you've done, to see actually you put a decent amount of time into your training. Try and listen to your body. Your head might be saying yes, but your body's saying no. You might have super sore legs. Sometimes it does work to push through and crack on, but other times it's going to make you a lot worse and get you into hole with fatigue. So it's all about listening to your body, things like knowing when to eat, when you can push through, but also when you need recovery. It's really important to get fitter. Also, some advice I've had about training when you're ill. So if you've got a bit of a cold, if it's on your head, it's generally okay, but if it's on your chest, now is time to have a rest. Don't train because you can make things a lot worse. One of the best things about that initial rush of motivation is that you feel like doing it all immediately. But if you go from riding 25 kilometers a week to suddenly riding 200k a week, you're going to be in for a bad time. Take your time to build your fitness. Start by setting yourself some goals, perhaps a climb that's been the bane of every ride. Aim to complete it without stopping, and then look to time yourself. But it's all about the balance. You don't want to push yourself unnecessarily and get injured or lose that motivation. A common misconception is that just because you're exercising regularly, then you can eat whatever you want and whatever quantities. As much as we'd like this to be true, this is not the case. When it comes to being really fit, a really good diet is also going to be really crucial. Try eating starchy whole grain carbohydrates because the greater fibre content helps control blood sugar levels and helps you feel more full for longer. This is really going to help for longer rides with bigger stretches between meals. Also, don't forget the proteins and fats, focusing on unsaturated fats from foods like nuts and avocados. Always try to reach your 5 a day and vary the colours in each meal you eat. The more colour, the wider array of vitamins and minerals you'll be consuming. This also transfers to fuel on the bike. Chocolates and sweets will only go so far, giving you a quick burst of energy, but a solid snack with the right nutritional impact will give you much more sustainable and long-lasting energy on the trails. Packing the right snacks with a good balance of carbs, fats and sugars will ensure you have the right fuel to last until home time. Blake's Bakes is a good place to start, but you should also find what works best for you. Another common training mistake is not drinking enough fluids, and we don't just mean water, especially when it's hot. When you're low on water and sodium, you'll start to feel the effects of dehydration, like a dry mouth, headaches and muscle cramps. So obviously when it's super hot, you've really got to take care with this and add some electrolytes to your water. Be sure to drink both water and electrolyte-based fluids to help you replenish the minerals and salts lost through exercise. Remember, you're trying to train your body and not your ego, so it's all about trying to learn your body and when you need to say stop. Sometimes you will be able to push through, but sometimes it's going to make you really, really tired. So a bit of rest could help, and that is where you're going to get fitter as well. There's only so much physical stress you can put your body under before you start getting burnt out and actually not making any gains. So make sure you're planning a bit of recovery. You can even catch up on a bit of GMBN or a bit of tech with Doddy. Look at that. So there's just a few of the mistakes that I've made whilst training to ride a mountain bike just that bit faster, also some that I've picked up from trainers over the years. Well, I'm going to sit here, recover and watch a video about how to train for enduro and one about the longest night ride. So I suggest you do the same thing by clicking on the bottom, hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up if you like training.